There is a place on Earth where the ocean decides who lives and who doesn't. A place so unpredictable, so violent, that sailors once called it the sea that eats steel. Today, ships can slip from the Atlantic to the Pacific in safety, through the calm waters of the Panama Canal. But before that canal opened in 1914, there was only one way through, a narrow corridor of chaos between South America and Antarctica, the Drake Passage. 500 miles wide, 600 miles long, and over 11,000 feet deep. It is the most dangerous sea route in the world, a graveyard stretching between two oceans. Records tell us that at least 8,800 ships have gone down here. That's only the ones we know about. Over 20,000 lives lost, swallowed whole by the sea, their names erased by wind and ice. Even today, the Drake Passage claims lives. In 2022, a luxury cruise ship was struck by what sailors fear most. A rogue wave, a wall of water tall as a 6-story building, came out of the night and slammed into the vessel with the force of a bomb. Glass shattered, cabins flooded, a passenger was killed instantly, 4 others injured, and dozens thrown to the deck as if the ocean had decided to remind humanity who really owns these waters. The average ship takes about 48 hours to cross the Drake Passage. 2 days, that's all. But sailors who've made it through say those 2 days stay with them for a lifetime. One passenger described it best. "I felt like a wet sock in a washing machine, on a 36-hour spin cycle. Even hardened captains, men who've crossed the Atlantic in storms, say nothing compares. Every meal becomes a battle. Plates slide across tables, glasses roll off shelves. To eat, you need 8 hands, 2 to hold the food, 2 for the chair, and 4 more just to stay upright. The ship pitches and yaws as if it's alive, breathing, fighting, testing every rivet. Passengers secure laptops, bottles, even pillows. Anything loose becomes a weapon. You move only by clutching railings. You sleep, if you can call it that, by tying yourself to the bed. Because when the ship rises over a wave, your body nearly floats. And when it crashes down, gravity doubles. It's not a voyage, it's survival. So what makes this place so violent? Why does the Drake Passage punish everything that dares cross it? It lies between Cape Horn, the southernmost point of South America, and Livingston Island in the South Shetlands, the northern edge of Antarctica. It's the only open gap between these two continents. The Pacific, the Atlantic, and the Southern Ocean all collide here. 3 of Earth's largest bodies of water, locked in a permanent battle. Every second, millions of cubic meters of cold Antarctic water meet warmer currents from the north. The result is chaos, cyclones, rogue waves, and winds so fierce they circle the entire planet without ever slowing down. This is where sailors meet the wrath of the Earth itself. There are no seasons here, no calm months, no safe windows. A storm can rise in minutes, and the waves, some over 60 feet high, can appear out of nowhere. The passage is named after Sir Francis Drake, a British privateer, or, as the Spanish called him, a pirate. In 1578, Drake's fleet tried to round the southern tip of South America through the Strait of Magellan. But a storm, one of the worst in recorded history, drove his ships far to the south. 2 vessels were lost. Only one survived, and when it emerged into open ocean, Drake realized something extraordinary. There was a sea route beyond the continent. A vast open connection between the Atlantic and the Pacific. That accidental discovery became the Drake Passage, and for centuries it became the most feared sea route on Earth. It was so brutal that it kept humanity from reaching Antarctica for hundreds of years. Before the 19th century, no one had set foot on the frozen continent, because to get there, you had to survive this. The winds here don't stop. They circle the globe unbroken, wrapping around Antarctica like a whip. Sailors have a saying, "Below 40 degrees south, there is no law. Below 50, there is no God." The Drake Passage lies at 56 degrees south. Winds can reach 45 miles per hour, sometimes more. And when the currents clash, they give birth to monsters, waves taller than houses, shaped by nothing but fury. Sailors call them by two names, the Drake Shake and the Drake Lake. The second is rare, a calm crossing, a gift. The first is almost always what they get. When you're out there, the horizon disappears. Everything turns white, wind, water, and death blending into one. Even Charles Darwin, one of the bravest explorers in history, nearly broke while crossing the Drake Passage. He wrote of constant nausea, sleepless nights, and the feeling that the earth itself was trying to throw him off. And yet, sailors kept coming back, because beyond this chaos lay the most remote and untouched continent on Earth, Antarctica. But the Drake Passage guards it like a beast, demanding a toll in lives and ships. And even in our modern age of steel hulls and satellite navigation, it still claims those who dare underestimate it. The Drake Passage is not just a graveyard, it's a living machine, a force that controls the temperature of the planet. Every second, billions of tons of freezing water surge through this narrow gate, creating the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, the most powerful ocean current on Earth. It circles the globe endlessly, unbroken by land, moving more water than all the world's rivers combined. That current carries cold, nutrient-rich water across the oceans, feeding whales, krill, plankton, and balancing the planet's climate. If the Drake Passage ever stopped flowing, life on Earth would begin to unravel. But what gives it such terrible strength is also what makes it deadly. When that current collides with warmer water from the north, it creates walls, invisible underwater mountains of motion. The surface churns, the pressure builds, and when the two forces break, they give birth to the ocean's greatest weapon, rogue waves. A rogue wave isn't just tall, it's impossible. It doesn't roll, it erupts. One moment the sea is calm, the next, a tower of water rises out of nowhere, hitting with the weight of 100 freight trains. In 2001, the research vessel RV Polar Stern was hit by one such wave, 98 feet high. The impact tore steel railings from the deck, crushed instruments, and nearly capsized the ship. The captain described it as like colliding with a mountain made of glass. For decades, rogue waves were called myths, old sailors' stories, exaggerated, impossible. But satellites changed that. In 1995, radar from the European Space Agency finally caught one. A single wave, 84 feet tall, rising from calm water in just seconds. Since then, hundreds have been recorded. And nowhere are they more common than here, in the Drake Passage. Even today, advanced weather systems and steel hulls can't always save a ship. Every captain who crosses the passage knows the rule. Respect the sea, or she will remind you who's in charge. Aboard research vessels, scientists strap themselves to their bunks. Laptops are bolted down. They record data, pressure, wind speed, water salinity, as waves slam against the hull like cannon fire. They're not just studying storms, they're studying the heartbeat of Earth, because buried in that chaos is a secret. The Drake Passage acts like a climate switch. When it formed 34 million years ago, it changed the world forever. Before that, Antarctica was green, covered in forests, rivers, and life. But when South America split from Antarctica, the passage opened, and the cold Antarctic current began to circle freely, trapping the continent in ice. That one event froze an entire world. It's not just a dangerous sea, it's the gatekeeper of Earth's history, and maybe its future. But for centuries, humans kept challenging it. In the age of sail, merchant ships from Europe tried to round Cape Horn to reach the Pacific. The reward was wealth, gold, silver, spices, and trade routes. The cost was death. Between 1600 and 1900, more than 10,000 sailors vanished here. Entire fleets disappeared without a trace. One of them was the Lady Elizabeth, a British bark bound for South America in 1878. Caught in a storm, her hull split open. Miraculously, she limped into Port Stanley. Her decks torn apart, her crew frozen, her masts broken. They called her the ghost ship that refused to die. Her wreck still lies in the Falklands, a monument to the price of crossing the Drake. For explorers, it became a test of courage. James Cook, Shackleton, Amundsen all faced the passage before reaching Antarctica. Each described it in the same way, not as a storm, but as a living thing. Shackleton once wrote, "It was as if the ocean had decided we did not belong here," and maybe he was right. Today, thousands of tourists cross these waters every year. They go to see penguins, glaciers, and the ends of the earth. But many say that what changes them isn't what they see. It's what they survive. You can't look at a wave that high, hear steel groan like bone, and come back the same. The Drake Passage humbles you. It strips away illusion, reminds you how small you really are. Sometimes, after days of chaos, the wind just stops. The sky opens, the water turns to glass. And for a brief moment, the Drake Lake appears, silent, infinite, calm. You can see your reflection in the water that once tried to kill you, and it feels like the ocean is whispering, "You've been tested. You may pass." Over centuries, men have tried to tame it, with sails, steam, steel, and satellites. But the truth is, the Drake Passage cannot be conquered. It doesn't hate us. It doesn't know we exist. It simply is. The raw power of nature, unbroken since time began. And every time a ship leaves the tip of South America, heading south into that endless blue, it faces the same ancient question: can human will survive where the planet breathes? The ocean does not remember the names of ships, but it remembers the sound of steel breaking, and the courage of those who dared to cross the ocean that eats steel.